Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete,
And this is Derek.
and we talk about video games every week, don't we, Derek?
Yes, indeed, we do.
That was a trick question because we actually do our podcast bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, if listeners didn't know that, then they're not true listeners.
yeah, and actually, we have a pretty exciting week because there has been a little bit of Nintendo news.
Just
somewhat.
nothing major, but some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Derek, Xenoblade 3 finally got a release date, and they surprised everyone by bumping it up by 2 months. Originally, it was September, and the release date was July 29th. What do you think?
I mean, again, I'm not a big Xenoblade fan, but for those that are, that's awesome. It kind of lines up well with their kind of lineup, but again, it raised that question of what their holiday game's going to be. I know we kind of have an answer that you're about to say, but so we'll see kind of what shakes.
Well, when it first happened, you and I both talked about it, and we were like, well, what's going to happen? What does that mean? And I guessed Splatoon was going to get delayed, or not delayed, or get a September release. And lo and behold, just the other day, Splatoon got a new trailer with a September 9th release date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
but
still
summer,
still
summer, and we still don't really have games after that. So
yeah, and if you think about it, like if Xenoblade's release date was originally going to be September 1st, getting pushed up till July 29th is really just 1 month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, like, what do you think about Xenoblade 3? Like, why haven't you been into the series? Like, what's your experience with it?
My experience with it was I played Xenoblade Chronicles. I think I actually played it after X. You'll know release dates better than me, but I played Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U first, and I didn't even get to the mechs. I know you always ask me if I got to the mechs. I maybe played 10, 15 hours of it. It's good, but it was my first Xenoblade game, and I just wasn't really into heavy JRPGs at that time, or hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe after that came Xenoblade Chronicles on it was like one of the only new 3DS games. Yeah, it was one of the only new 3DS games there was. I remember it even had a black box, I think, or something cool.
There was a couple new 3DS games, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, and so I played that. I think I got near the halfway point against this really tricky boss, and I was looking up online, and I just was not anywhere near beating this boss, and people were like, if you're not, you're gonna have to grind to get past it. And I didn't ever go back to it.
Yeah, and then that's it for you? You never played Xenoblade 2?
I didn't play Xenoblade 2. No, at that point I kind of realized, I bought 2 Xenoblade games. I liked them, didn't love them, and I never beat either of them. So I don't think it's a franchise for me. I am very, very picky when it comes to, my JRPGs. And I know it's a loved JRPG, but I like, the franchise that I know I like, and I pick, one every couple of years. And yeah, for me, the combat for a JRPG really has to be either really, really deep and interesting, or have a lot of kind of fun mechanics, kind of like a Tales game. But I find that the Xenoblade games, they just don't really have that kind of feedback that I want in those combat sequences, and it's a lot of just running in beautiful landscapes, but it's a lot of just running and collecting items, and the fights just didn't really do much for me.
Yeah, so my experience, I bought Xenoblade for the Wii when it came out. I still have it. And then I bought Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U. And kind of same as you. I got to the first major boss in Xenoblade. I kind of just gave up. I didn't dislike it. It just didn't really capture me. But on the other hand, Xenoblade Chronicles X did capture me. I was pretty far. I almost had the mech, and then my Wii U broke, and the rest is history. But I got really close, and I was really into it because there's just so much to explore. I think my main gripe with the series is that the combat, to me, I don't really enjoy, and I don't like the way it kind of feels automatic, where you set up your move and then you just wait. I just didn't have like you said, the feedback wasn't really there.
Yeah.
But there was something to it where you had kind of I think it's more about having a party that's been preset to kind of just attack in this sort of order, and then line up attacks. There's a satisfaction to that chaos, I think, for some people.
Mm-hmm. And chaining combos and certain, yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest, I never really grasped the concept in either. I know there was some time travel stuff in Xenoblade Chronicles where you could die and then go back and make a change. That was a really cool mechanic, but it didn't really have a great feeling, the actual like combat itself.
Agreed.
But the environments are amazing, and I got to say the number three looks a lot more like number two, like better than number two ever did.
I agree, and I didn't like the art style of number two. Like it was a little bit more cartoony and anime, like you know what I mean. It looked less real.
Totally,
Where
yeah,
I find Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looks to be going back to kind of more like what Xenoblade the original was.
yeah, totally. I agree, and I think that, we saw a trailer the other day, and I thought the trailer made it look like it was pretty good. I mean, it clearly has a good big story and a lot of environments, but even some of the gameplay we saw, I mean, there's like 6 people in your party or 7.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of a lot of party members. Yeah, a lot of combat choices, I think.
Yeah, and it seemed to be running well. There wasn't like any pop up or frame rate issues, and I think the fans of Xenoblade are like really stoked about this. But yeah, do you see yourself getting Xenoblade 3, Derek? Like, what would it take for like you to buy it?
If it got a review of like let's say a 93 or higher and people said this is the best one in the series, then I'd probably give it a go. Otherwise, again, I know what if it's exactly what the other ones were, but different, or like small changes. I don't know if I'd probably go for it because I know what I'm expecting, and again, I like them. I just they lose my interest because again, I'm very picky about my JRPGs. So that one just it had to blow me away. It's like kind of like how, for example, Elden Ring for you. If that game was an 80 game or like an 81, I don't know if you'd probably jump on that game as quickly as you did.
Exactly, yeah. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I would need to hear that this game had kind of like a paradigm shift in like, not a paradigm shift, but the gameplay would have to be really damn good, and maybe it has like a new function where you can kind of go in any direction, like Breath of the Wild, or maybe it has like really tight combat. I don't know, like something that elevates it. But it's a hard to call. I probably wouldn't, just because I don't have the time to sink into those big huge games anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
But at the same time, I'm surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if someone wants to add that to our Metacritic fantasy league, because it is one of those games where, Derek, you could take a Hail Mary, guess 95, it gets a 92, I guess 80. You know what I mean? Like, it really, it's a hard game to predict, because the first Xenoblade had a really high Metacritic score, and then the other few have been around the 80 mark. So where do you see this one landing?
Again, from what I've seen, I think it'll kind of be par for the course, get I'd say low 80s. But it is doing stuff, like we said, similar to the first game. The first game did review well, so there is that chance. I don't think it'll break that 90s, but that's kind of my own personal just preference and pessimism, or only liking them. It's possible, but I see it as being 78 to 83 kind of range.
Oh yeah, I see it doing a little bit better, because I know a major complaint with number 2 was like the weird over sharpening and graphics on handhelds, as well as like the weird art designs and the character designs that are like sexualized a little bit too much. And I mean, I've seen some. I haven't played it myself. I've just seen some really awkward cutscenes online.
Yeah, Pyra and Mithra. They're in Smash Bros.
Yeah, totally. So I think this game looks like they'll have corrected that in this game, as well as maybe fix up their approach to the graphics. I mean, I never played Xenoblade 2, but I heard it just ran terribly on portably.
Well, do we really expect this game to do better? Like,
I do, yeah, because apparently Xenoblade Definitive Edition runs better, and I mean, it seems like Xenoblade 2 was almost rushed. I remember it having some patches, and it came out in December, right when the Switch came out, and it wasn't that long after Chronicles X. So I don't know. I think this one they'll have put a lot more time into, and they've worked on it for years. And it's a big developer. Remember, like there's over 100 people at Monolith. So.
We'll see.
Yeah, do you think someone's going to add it to our thing? Because I just got your insight on it, so now I know where you're going to guess.
Well, you don't know. Maybe I will Hail Mary, and I'm just trying to trick you. I'm not sure. Like, I'm thinking about myself. The issue for me is what other games I could also Hail Mary on.
Hmm.
So I have a few months to decide. I think I'm gonna wait till at least June to see kind of what the fall lineup is. Like the longer I can wait till, let's say Mario Strikers, like the first kind of big game that we haven't scored yet. Um,
Yeah, but at the same time, the more media that gets released, the more it's easier to pinpoint how a game will do. You know, like if there's like hands-on impressions in June of Xenoblade, and everyone's like, "Oh, the frame rate's terrible," and like no one's really loving it, we can sort of then gauge better
yeah,
our
but if
scores.
if I feel like that's the scenario and it's not a Hail Mary anymore, then I would just pick something that is still a true Hail Mary. Like
Okay.
I would pick some indie game that comes out in November and has like one mention somewhere.
That's so cheap. And why should it just like be vaporware that never comes out? But at the same time, you choose something too obscure, and there won't be enough scores for it.
I know it has to hit at least 5, or I think it has to hit 5 to get Metacritic scored. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well, anyways, let's move on to some more Nintendo news. Shortly after Xenoblade 3 announcement trailer and date announcement trailer sorry came out, they Splatoon 3 just got a new trailer and a date released in a trailer.
hmm
So did you watch that video, Derek?
I it's funny. Actually didn't watch the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 trailer. I only watched that 5-second video you sent of the combat. So I'm gonna go back after this podcast and watch the
You
actual.
haven't even. I was talking about Splatoon there, but you actually have
I
watched.
know. I know I haven't watched the Xenoblade 3, but I have watched the Splatoon 3 release date video.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna go back and watch the Xenoblade. But I thought the Splatoon one looked awesome. I thought it was really well choreographed, is what I'm gonna say, and it was just interesting. It looked like a lot of fun. It showed exactly what I felt like it needed to show. Didn't reveal anything major, but I think that's for a different time coming up in the next 5 months. But it showed, the main kind of turf battle. It showed all these different specials, new moves. It looked really fun. Yeah, it got me more excited than I thought I'd be for Splatoon 3. So I'm optimistic about getting it and enjoying it.
You know what's funny? I almost felt the exact opposite. I'm surprised that it got you more excited because to me it looked like a regular old turf battle with a couple new items. And with Splatoon 2, I didn't even really. I kind of fell off playing it, and they were still releasing new items. So it's not like a new items and new specials really get me that fired up.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember getting into Splatoon with a friend, number two, years after it came out, because he got into it, and there's like all new levels, all new weapons, and it was just kind of like, wow, it almost feels like a sequel at this point. So I don't know what, like, they're showing off a turf battle with still 4-on-4. A lot of the items are still the same. I don't really know what's new about this, and I feel like they've only shown us incremental upgrades. That's not to say that they won't show us something new, but it's kind of like, okay, we get it. There's Salmon Run, and we get it. There's a turf battle, but like, show us I think what everybody wants and what you want and what I want is a very great campaign.
Yeah. I have a few questions for you. So the first off is, are you gonna get this regardless?
I have to say, I mean, maybe not. It really depends. Like, if it really is just an incremental upgrade and the single player isn't significant, I might
So
hesitate.
yeah. So that's my next question: is do you think that this is going to be a greater leap between Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2? Like, I think it's actually going to be. I mean, the campaign is up in the air. I totally agree. It could be wildly different, or it could be very similar, where it's level based and whatnot. What I think is kind of interesting is, for me, I don't think it'll necessarily, as far as the multiplayer goes, will be a monumental upgrade. But I think there'll be a few quality of life changes that will drastically improve my experience of wanting to play it.
Yes, like joining
And
friends and things like
yeah, so
that.
the two I wanted to name was, I'm suspecting and hoping that Salmon Run will be permanent. It won't be this daily. Some days it's on, some days it's off garbage.
Just a note. So it's up throughout Splatoon 2's life and its updates. It is now available like 36 hours out of 42 hours. Like it's like really it's available a lot of the time now. Just FYI.
But even still, it should just be available all the time.
I agree 100%.
And the other thing is, you said it perfectly, is the multiplayer. I want to be able to join a party with you, and it'd be cool if we could even run around the city together, not even be in a multiplayer game. And then we join together, and it was so poorly done in the Splatoon 2 that
Oh
I just
yeah.
I felt like I wanted to play with you, and it was so cumbersome to play with you. That is truly the reason I stopped playing that game.
Yeah,
So I was like,
we like couldn't. When you join somebody else, they like have to get into a match first.
I know exactly. And the thing that, I mean, it still sucks because the Switch doesn't really have a voice chat. It's a game I'd want to talk and chill with you and like just discuss things while we're painting stuff. But now that we both have like, similar systems or Discord, it's a lot easier to kind of just like play Discord on my, Xbox or PS5 and chat with you while playing Splatoon, where I feel like before that was a little bit more difficult.
Yep.
So hopefully with those kind of hurdles, and I hope those quality of life updates are fixed, that I'll be a lot more inclined to keep playing the multiplayer and not just drop it after doing that campaign.
Well, somebody did notice in the end of the turf battle in number 3 that it showed a number next to everyone's name. So people are suspecting that number system, like it works the way, I guess, I mean, I just read a post about this, that there was issues with like finding friends and joining friends because you can always change your name. And that's why they used friend codes, which was annoying. But now that there's that number, you might be able to search for the number plus the name and find people, and they can make more of an ecosystem around joining your friends and playing with friends.
Oh, like I know Blizzard does that for their games where they have your username and then they have like a pound sign, like a 4-digit code after or
Yeah,
something, right?
exactly. And
Yeah, that's smart.
I wouldn't be. To me, I wouldn't. There was the league play, but you have to unlock that. I also, because before, I
That
don't
was
know if you
also
remember.
stupid.
Yeah, you had to play enough turf battle to unlock ranked mode, and then you had to get a high enough score in ranked mode to have a league battle. I think they will remove that entirely, that restriction.
Mm-hmm.
So they've
I
already,
mean,
someone
well, I
leaked
hope,
online.
but who knows?
Well, I was gonna say someone leaked online already, or not leaked, but announced that they're not gonna like bar them from different regions like they did last time. Like the
Mm.
actual Splatoon 2 in North America, Europe, and Japan were like different and had different sets of Splatfests, different clothing releases, and like different rates of weapons releasing, and also they wouldn't let you have cloud saves in Splatoon 2. So people, now that someone has come out and said no, this is the same version being released worldwide at the same time, there's also reason to believe that maybe they'll kind of join up the Splatfests worldwide, and they won't have those kind of like, separations between regions.
Mm-hmm.
Which bodes well. But to me, the biggest thing is I just need to see what's new and what's in the campaign. They've hinted a little bit, but I really need to see that, like, something like, oh, is it a co-op campaign? Is it an open world campaign? Am I able to freely explore a city and like do side missions? Like what is
Yeah,
it?
I was gonna say a co-op campaign would really, really be awesome, or open world where, again, we saw that very, very first trailer of Splatoon 3 where they're in that kind of desert, desolate area. It'd be cool if you could literally like spray like the Grand Canyon, like you're just spraying the rocks and you can just like go in this huge area to maybe these different, I don't know, little puzzles throughout the whole canyon, let's say.
Like Breath of the Wild style world.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not that huge, and but yeah, something like that. The cool thing about Splatoon, or one of the cool things, is its traversal, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're shooting is also the path that you take. So I could see there's being puzzles of like just in an open world where like, oh, I want to get to that ledge to get to that area, and I have to think about how I'm going to shoot. And let's say there's water flowing down one area, or steel plates that you can't put paint on. Like there's a lot of kind of interesting puzzles you could do with a more of an open-ended idea.
Totally.
It's just funny because for me, the least important mode is the versus multiplayer. I care probably most about Salmon Run in the campaign.
I'm 100%. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's fun. Again, I still like the multiplayer, but I think I could see myself playing Salmon Run endlessly more than playing the multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean the multiplayer is a fun, but to me it's always like the what can I do by myself. That's I'm kind of into the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean the fun, interesting thing is all the Splatoon 1, 2, and Octopath expansion, this like the single player modes, were all kind of in these like metal worlds that almost felt like just blank sandbox, like kind of open sandbox, or not sandbox, like skybox with platforms kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't really done something where there's like actual texture and world and grass or sand or rocks and like kind of nature
and like a story as far as you're in a world. Why these squid kids like exist in a world?
Yeah, like there's so much potential there, and I think the fact that they showed the desert, there might be this kind of cool like rundown city desert, maybe natural, like the open world kind of gameplay or campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I would love if they had like a big world and maybe a main campaign, but like as I mentioned, like I want the city to have like multiple branches to it, almost like imagine Clocktown from Majora's Mask, how it had like the center section and like four offshoots
Mm.
and like tons of different characters and shops and things. Like I wish they kind of Splatoon
I love
the
it.
city took a page from that.
I love that they also added like some verticality to the city.
Hmm.
Again, I like the idea of like shooting up, the sides of buildings, or I just found you were very flat in a lot of Splatoon, where it's like they really could add a lot of cool verticality to even the multiplayer maps. Um, so that I'm kind of excited for that, and I just wanted to jump over because you mentioned the Octo expansion. I don't know if you knew about this news, but for those that have the Nintendo Switch Online, I think it's the expansion
Yeah,
pass.
you get it for free.
Yeah, so again, I don't have the Nintendo Switch Online anything right now, but I'm tempted just to get it for a month just to play the Octo expansion pass.
It is really it's I didn't actually 100% it, but it is a lot of fun. It's great.
Yeah, I heard it's
Um
amazing.
it's well, I don't know if I'd go as far as saying amazing. It still doesn't feel like a proper campaign. It still feels like a set of levels in a new hub.
Okay, okay.
But it is worth playing. Like it's definitely worth the money or
I heard the final boss is like one of the best bosses in any Nintendo game.
I actually never got to it. The final boss of a Octo expansion.
Yeah, there's like a secret final boss if you beat everything. That I
Oh.
think I think it's an Octo Girl, and like they just have insane cool moves and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I think I read that a long time ago.
Yeah, definitely give it a try. It'd be cool if they made kind of like a Splatoon 3 like one seamless world almost. And you just kind of had the city and then to do multiplayer you just like went into the city area and like you know what I mean, rather than the Splatoon 1 and 2, the city area almost feels like a glorified menu or like a really segmented hub, but it'd be cool if they
Yeah,
just kind of like really fully connected that and like connected it to the main game where you are in the story while that happens, you
I mean,
know.
I'm totally on board. I just again I go back to the question: is do we really think Nintendo would even try those things? Like on one hand, it's like, well, they didn't. A lot of people's biggest complaint with Splatoon 2 is they didn't really change a lot, right? It was a kind of an expansion pack to number one, just more of the same, and so maybe that would push Nintendo to do further. But at the same time, Splatoon sells well. It's still an IP that's kind of establishing itself in its core idea. Maybe they don't want to, throw a bunch of new stuff over and over and over again and see what sticks. Maybe they say no. We want to refine what our image or idea is of Splatoon before we start bringing in these other concepts. I don't know. I could see it going either way. I just to have that idea of like an open city where it's just kind of everything's free form. I wish. I just don't know if Nintendo will do that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be as easy as I don't think they'll be able to make it totally freeform, but it'll be as easy as like each section of the city having a little load cutscene between. Like you're running down a hallway, it fades to black, or down an alleyway, fades to black, opens up again. You're in the next section.
Hmm.
Run to the front gates, run out, fade to black, opens up. Now you're in the big main desert world, and you can like go to your mission log. You know what I mean? Then you go back to the town, go around, find a new NPC, talk to them. Like I'm not saying it wouldn't be like Breath of the Wild where it's like blowing the whole like concept open to an actual open world. Just a way to like make the world bigger and also connect that world to the story. Where
Yeah.
where before the story was literally just a one entrance place you went, and then it was a linear, full on linear story. An Octopath expansion is practically the same way. Like you
Hmm.
go into an area, it loads a subway hub, and you are choosing level one by one in a map area.
Yeah.
Where I don't know. Anyways, so I mean, I can talk about Splatoon 3 all day.
One of the I know I just have one. I'm just thinking one of the things that I would love if they did that kind of open world Splatoon campaign is I would love them to. I know we're talking about RPGs, but like I would love an RPG element where you do find the new upgrade to the gun, or you do get a better range on it, or faster swimming through the ink. Like I just find there's be a lot of cool potential to. It would at least drive me to keep playing that campaign if it was open world, to say, oh, like I want to go see if I can find that paint bucket upgrade. I don't know if that's something that would interest you, but I think that'd be a cool addition.
That would be cool. I don't know if they'll go. It's hard to say. Like, I wonder if they will do it where they could even treat each weapon. Like, let's say you don't get the sniper until like you beat this boss in the main game,
Yeah,
and then you go into the city and you're like, okay, well now I have a sniper. I can shoot that target up there and hit it, and the target opens a new door with a new quest. You know what I mean? Like that type
hmm
of stuff would be really cool.
yeah.
Who knows? Like I mean, I think there's still a long time before Splatoon 3 actually comes out, and I actually, as much as like the trailer so far have been kind of like, okay, what's new? It's been 5 years since the last one. This is a 10 million plus selling franchise. I think they're gonna go all out. I think we're gonna see even potentially like a co-op mode where like, you get a weapon and I get a different weapon, and we almost have to play like It Takes Two, like a little mini
Hmm.
version of that, like
That'd
little
be cool.
puzzle rooms with two players. Like they could really go all out with tons of stuff.
Yeah, the thing that's I also always have to remind myself is, let's say they don't go all out. I think of like Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. It's not like they've really drastically changed that, even though we would have these same kind of ideas for it. Even, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3 were all very similar. I mean, Super Mario Bros. 2 is quite different, but what I'm just trying to say is we are clearly recognizing that Splatoon has a lot of potential ideas that would work really, really well.
Mhm.
So even if Splatoon 3 doesn't have those ideas, and even if it's a pass for me, I still have a lot of hope and faith that the future of Splatoon is going to just get more and more awesome.
Hopefully, I mean it is interesting to look at this series because people have noted that Nintendo doesn't often make three of the same series in a 7 year stretch. It's pretty rare. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
very rare actually.
Over milking the cow.
Yeah, I mean, like other than Mario Party, like we don't really have that. So it is kind of interesting with Splatoon they do. For me, I think that Splatoon 3, and what I'd like is to be kind of like the big one. It's really awesome as a huge story, and then maybe they just rest on it for like 5 plus years again.
Hmm.
Um, who knows? Or they make a 2D one or something. But I don't know if this. I don't know. Maybe Splatoon 4 and 5 and 6 will like keep coming out rather frequently.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is also it's funny because it is one of their big online competitive games. As crazy as that is to say,
Mhm.
like outside of Smash Bros, I would say Splatoon has a bigger competitive scene than any other Nintendo game. So that might be another reason why they want to keep pushing them out, because Smash Bros, they can't, just because of the sheer size and complexity of the third parties in that game.
Mhm.
Whereas Splatoon, they can just keep pushing them out, and they know people that like the multiplayer, like those third person shooters, like the competitive games, are going to keep buying the sequels.
Well, question for you though. Like, do you feel like multiplayer games are more popular when they have new releases all the time? More popular than something like, I don't know, like a Overwatch or World of Warcraft, like that has lasting appeal? Like, what ultimately is better? Like something like Mario Kart 8 or World of Warcraft that has like super lasting appeal, or the yearly Call of Duty Madden structure? Like, like, does Splatoon benefit from having a frequent release cycle, or will Splatoon 3 just have levels come out for it for 5 years and new content and things like that?
I mean, it's hard to even put Blizzard in the same, like it's so many leagues above most games as far as longevity and like updating their content.
Hmm.
You're saying World of Warcraft, but World of Warcraft is like one of those unbelievably like lightning in a bottle kind of games, and it has 11 expansions or something ridiculous like that. So it's not like the game doesn't get huge updates. They just label them as expansions as opposed to World of Warcraft 2. They found that a better model. um, but Overwatch, for example, like you said, it is dying. Like Overwatch really isn't that popular right now, but
Yeah, and they have number
Overwatch
two coming.
number 2 is coming, and people are, it's like, there was just the beta, I think, starts next week, and there's been impressions this past week. People are really excited about Overwatch 2. Apparently a lot of the changes they're making are different enough, are interesting enough. Even if it is just a new coat of paint, people are latching onto it. So I think Splatoon 3 might be that same kind of idea, where it doesn't need to do all these crazy new stuff to put a sequel. People buy them, like, right? People buy Call of Duty. People buy, even if you don't like Battlefield, people buy them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know which model is better, but I'm just curious of which way Splatoon would go in the end.
Well, but I mean, I saw someone else make the comparison to Call of Duty. I mean, I feel like when a new Call of Duty or Battlefield gets announced, there very much is oh, Call of Duty, now you're in World War II, now you're in the future, now you're in this war, now you're in the jungle, now we have zombies come back, now we have this, like, where with this Splatoon 3, I can barely tell the difference what they're adding to it. How's the average person who hasn't purchased number two or one, like what's supposed to get them interested in it now?
Yeah, but
And
that's when they say, "Oh, Splatoon 3, now we have more salmon run options and salmon run levels. Oh, we have all these new upgrades. We have new
yeah,
game modes where you have to push the
play with your friend
push."
easier and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll most likely buy it, but I know what you're saying. I still hope that they have a really good, the best campaign. I don't think Nintendo would say, "Let's make a Splatoon 3" without adding something alluring about it for people who have played number two to death. You know?
I agree, but at the same time, I also know Nintendo looks at their games. They say, whatever we release, especially if it's Splatoon, will sell 10 million copies. It doesn't have to,
Yeah.
right? Like Nintendo has a little bit of a way of making spending little and having small resources and small changes, but always selling a lot. So they don't want to push all this crazy content on it because they don't have to. They know it will sell well. Just like Pokemon, right? Pokemon doesn't ever, I mean, besides maybe Legends Arceus recently, it doesn't really try to change its formula up, and it still sells crazy. So there's no incentive for them to change it up. So
We'll see. I mean, let's
yeah,
not forget that this is like one of their A tier in-house teams. Like it's not one of their B
totally.
teams. It's not Pokemon Company. They deliver a 60 frame a second game
And
always.
again, I do think it will have some really interesting new stuff. At least in the campaign and hopefully Salmon Run. And those quality of life features, I think, are enough for me and a lot of people to get excited about it. But I just think, there is that chance that Nintendo does what Nintendo does and just kind of sticks to what they already have been doing for that franchise.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, hopefully we're playing together. I mean, that'd be fun. We haven't really gotten to a competitive game in a long time.
I know, yeah, we could even go and play some Xbox games. We should, but
Yeah, I don't get into a ton of multiplayer games. But yeah, it'll be
Mhm.
cool. Well, we'll talk in September about it.
Yeah.
So another thing that got announced this week was Sonic Origins. Did you hear about this, Derek?
Sonic Origins. This is like the remakes, right? Or not the
Yeah.
remakes, but the old games coming back.
Yeah, it's like a remaster of Sonic 1,
hmm
2, 3, and I believe Sonic CD as well.
Yeah. So the only thing that I know about this, you'll know a lot more than me, is I know it's some of those older games, and I know that it's like riddled with like getting collectible coins and like 8 different ways you can buy this game in different the deluxe edition and then Supreme Deluxe and like the coin edition like. So I know there's a lot of that, but I don't really actually know much beyond that.
Well, it's basically from what I can glean. I haven't really looked at it too much, but it's they more or less just remastered 1, 2, 3 with widescreen and HD, proper HD, and it's got some like options for borders and save states and things like that. So
Hmm.
I don't think it's like a total remake. It's not a. I always get confused over what's a remake, what's a remaster.
A
Um,
remaster is it's the same exact game, but it's updated in stuff. It's actually there's been code that's been updated. Where a remake is like actually remaking the game. Like Resident Evil 2 remake, like it's a completely different game. It's remade. Where if you go to like Resident Evil 1 for the GameCube, that was a remaster.
I see. Okay. Well, this
Well,
looks.
actually, that might be a remake. I don't know. That's confusing because people
Um,
call it remake.
well, yeah. It's looks to me like it's a remake in the sense that it's, yeah, like I said, just the same game, the same look exactly, but with widescreen and it's like properly up-resed and I don't know if it's emulated or remade, but they've got like bonus modes, classic mode, boss rush, things like that.
hmm
The cool thing though is that they allow you to play Tails or Knuckles in any of them. Where before Knuckles, I think you had to have this Sonic and Knuckles expansion,
Hmm.
and also it's like hard to come by Sonic 3 and Sonic CD. Like those games are actually like Sonic 1 and 2 have been re-released everywhere. I actually have them on my Genesis NSO collection on Switch, but Sonic 3 and Sonic CD are harder to come by. Um,
So does that mean you're gonna get this?
Well, here's the thing. It's no because the price is gonna drop. That's why.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I will be able to get this for $6 or $7 in a year or so. Maybe that's overstating it, but at least like it will be on sale. That's how Sega does it. It's like buying a Ubisoft game on day one. Like why do it?
Yeah.
The the other
Bad
thing
for your wallet.
is that it's weird and almost sucking all the. I don't know if you heard about this, but like it's getting a lot of attention. They announced like a standard edition
Yeah.
And they also announced a like bunch of other versions that are
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was saying.
yeah. The weird thing is the difference is only $5.
Hmm.
So it's like this really bad marketing where people are kind of like, well, why didn't you just give us everything for $45? Like make it sound like a really great package versus like selling us a $40 game, which is still maybe overpriced, but then like nickeling diming on all these other things.
Yeah, like,
Like
is this game? Do they really like? Again, I know Sonic is big to a lot of people, and especially classic Sonic. But they really think this game is going to be that big enough that they should break it into like 6 different packages. You know what I mean? Just like you said, make one strong package, like the teenage. Like I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. It's like
yeah.
that's just it's going to be one game, but it's going to kick ass, and that they should have done the same with Sonic.
Okay, so get this. So in the standard edition that you get for $39.99, US by the way, so it'd be $49.99 for us. You get the main game, but
Mm-hmm.
you also to pay $5 more to get the digital deluxe edition. You then get 100 bonus coins, mirror mode, hard missions, letterbox background, character animation in the main menu, camera control over the main menu islands, character animations during music islands, and additional music tracks. So it's like it just seems like what? Like you're
For
making
five
me pay
dollars,
five
dude. Yeah.
dollars for that? Like I don't know. It seems worth it, but it also seems like you just locked it for people who don't want to pay the full price. Like
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely terrible marketing that's taken them all the attention away from. To be honest, seems like a really good release.
Yeah, exactly.
Something I actually probably down the line will get for Switch because it's the perfect. It's and it's also nice to know that like these games now have modern remasters. Hopefully, it's good. Because then going forward, that's what'll be re-released.
You know, when it comes to Sega and Sonic, I don't have a lot of faith, but yeah, let me know. Yeah, like yeah.
I mean, the developers behind this, I believe, worked on Sonic Mania, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have hope. But I mean, I also don't really think Sonic games are amazing to begin with. Uh,
Yeah,
I
they're like to
mean,
me they're like solid sixes and sevens. You know,
yeah,
they can be
maybe
fun,
eight,
but
maybe eight.
yeah, maybe. Honestly, my favorite Sonic game I've ever played was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Wow, yeah. See, I have a lot of memories of the original Sonic, or sorry, Sonic 2 when I was a kid, as well as Sonic, what is it? Sonic for Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure. The first one, and but I tried to replay Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube recently in my collection, and woof. That's all I'm gonna say. It does not hold up. It just does not hold up. And I think when it first came out for Dreamcast, it was like, wow, this looks really great. You can move really fast. And there was something really cool about that, like seeing fast moving, higher dimension, like 720p graphics. Or no, they weren't even 720p. There was just like,
540, I think.
well, I think it was 480p, but still I was above the N64's 320p. And the PlayStation was so pixelated. Like, it was the first big jump into that generation.
Mm-hmm.
Before PS2 and GameCube like ate its lunch. But anyways, Sonic. We can talk about how up and mostly down that series is for an entire podcast.
We could honestly.
So let's move on, Derek. 'Cause not much else in the news really. So I wanted to get into what we've been playing because you said you've been playing some new stuff.
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, haven't been playing a ton of games recently. I kind of recently set a rule for myself that I wasn't going to play video games until I work out in the day.
Hmm.
So I haven't been playing any video games. No,
Does
I'm
that
just
does that
kidding.
mean you haven't been working out either?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, there's been a few times I went to work out, came home, and then didn't end up playing games. But I've been, you might know, in my office here, I have the three screens, the two that I work on, and then I have like a third screen above with a GameCube connected to it.
Hmm.
So recently I popped out Star Fox Assault. I never beat.
Just remind me, Star Fox Assault isn't. That's not the one where you're on like a dinosaur planet with Crystal, right?
No, that's Star Fox Adventures, Rare's last game published by Nintendo.
But both of them are on the GameCube.
Yeah, GameCube got two Star Fox games.
Well, I did not. I don't even think I remember Star Fox Assault. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so there was a point in time when Nintendo teamed up with Sega and Namco on their, it was called like the Tri-Ace arcade board. And so they basically got in together to make these arcade machines. And that's why you'll see like F-Zero had a short arcade run, F-Zero GX. And as well, Namco, I believe they developed the Mario Kart for the arcade. Like you'll see it in Dave & Buster's and local arcades. That's why Pac-Man is in the Mario Kart arcade. So this game, I believe, was developed, intended for some sort of arcade release. It wasn't. And I believe this was developed within that time frame where the games could be developed on GameCube and the arcade hardware at the same time. So I guess it eased development. But long story short, Namco made this Star Fox game. It's came out later in the GameCube's life. Kind of got like around sevens and low reviews when it came out. Not super high reviews. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how this game is underrated, and it went on, and how, especially with the way Star Fox went afterwards, it's actually worth playing. So I decided to pop it in and play it. It has a mix of flight and tank and on the ground controls.
Oh, like running on the ground too?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's like almost like, and it has dual analog controls.
But is it still like a track? Is it like on a track, kind of like the original 64 Star Fox?
No. It's almost like all range mode when you're on feet. So I haven't beaten it. I'm about halfway, but there'll be missions where you have like a little base that you land on. And you have a radar, and it says like where to go to destroy like the main things you need to destroy. And then at some point you need to jump into a tank or a R-wing, and then you get to fly off right from there, which is cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
There is like a pretty robust multiplayer mode too, where you have all of those options, and like you can fly an R-wing around a little area, and also people can jump out on the ground. And it was cool because you can fly in the R-wing and then like jump out on the wing and shoot like with better aiming, and then jump back in.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, so they had some cool ideas, and it's hard to grasp this one because like it has dual analog controls, but the sensitivity is so low, like the turn is like obnoxiously slow. So it's almost designed in a way where like you feel like you're controlling a tank, but the controls just don't feel great, and you're using the R button to shoot, or at least in the dual analog setup. So it feels kind of awkward with the I don't know if you know the GameCube's analog triggers are kind of like having they're like soft till the end.
Oh yeah.
So it's just not great for pulling a trigger, really. But the music is amazing. It's orchestrated, and the flight parts are great. And I'm actually having a good time. It's like polished enough.
Nice.
And it's probably better than Star Fox Zero. So,
well, I think most Star Fox games are better than Star Fox Zero.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad game necessarily. I mean, it has its moments.
I mean, I almost want to say this is maybe, depending on how the rest goes, it might be the second best Star Fox game for me after 64.
Okay, nice.
I find the SNES one almost unplayably old. Star Fox Zero is almost unplayable. The command on DS was like weird with the touchscreen and not.
Yeah, it was like a strategy game for half of it.
Yeah, and it was all the whole game took place in all range mode.
Mm-hmm.
The best Star Fox is definitely Star Fox 64 3DS.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Nice. Is that all you've been playing?
That's pretty much it, other than the little bits of Elden Ring here and there.
Have you made some good progress in the past week?
No, it's because we haven't podcast since I was with you. I'm including that time we played.
Oh, okay. So for me, I finished Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like the game a lot. Not better than Elden Ring, but not bad by any means. It's quite a good game. I give it like a high 8, low 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really fun. I don't know if it would be your kind of game because it does suffer to some of those side quest kind of collectathon, Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the combat is really fun. The story's pretty good. The graphics are awesome. Yeah, but. So I moved on, and there's 2 games I played. The first one I went to was Slay the Spire.
You heard of that game? Yes, I have. I know people love that game.
Yeah, so I had some of my close friends played it on Steam, and they loved it and always talked about it around me. And it just so happened that this month it was free on PS Plus. So I finished my game, Horizon. I was like, okay, might as well download this and see what it's all about. I probably put in maybe 25 hours into it. Really, really fun. Yeah, it's actually really addicting. I enjoyed it immensely. There's 4 characters. They all have it's actually a roguelite, but it's also a card game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about, as you go through the dungeon, each room is a battle, but you can get different cards and like different artifacts and power-ups, and it's building and synergizing your deck. It is really, really fun. And
it's a random shuffle of cards when you first start a new game, right?
No, so when you start the game, there's 4 different characters, and they all start with their own like 10 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go through, like for example, the first guy, he only gets red cards, and his whole deck's built around these red cards. And you start with the 10, but then as you beat every room, you get a choice of 3 different red cards to add to your deck. So you get to add 1 to your deck every time.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on your first few cards, you could have a completely different deck. It's still a red deck as opposed to another deck. So I could play the game again. Like, so for example, one way I'll build, and my deck's all about blocking, and like there's a card that makes so every turn your block stacks up, and then you can deal damage based on how much block you have. And then the same character with the red deck, there's a one move or one card that can be upgraded infinitely. So your whole goal of that build is just to keep upgrading the same card and getting it in your hand as fast as possible to keep dropping big damage.
Okay.
So it's really fun, and each character is different. I did find it gets, after you kind of clear the game with each character once or twice or a few times, it does get a little repetitive. It's kind of like, I've played the game as much as I kind of need to. I've got my fill. I might, jump back into it, every couple of weeks or months, or when a new PlayStation game is downloading, I might play for an hour. But I don't know how people are putting in 500 hours into this game. Again, great game, liked it a lot, but it does get a little samey like a lot of roguelites do, at least for me.
Is there things to keep unlocking like there is in Hades?
So you can unlock up to, there's like 5 unlocks for each character. Depending on how far you get more XP, and then eventually you get them. But I've almost unlocked all of them, all the stuff for each character. And there are achievements, but again, I don't really care about these achievements because some of them just seem like, it's like beat 20 runs for this one character and progressingly hard difficulties. And I don't care to play the game 20 times on each character.
Yeah.
It is really fun. It's one of those kind of games where it's fun to play for like 6 hours total, and then you'd feel like you got your fill.
Maybe I'll give it a try if it ever comes to. I mean, I think it is on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. I honestly, I would just download it, and if you just to have it on your system to play, like I play it when other games are going to be installing. Like it's a game I don't want to delete because it's one of those games you can pick up and play for 30 minutes, or you can play for an hour and a half, or even 10 minutes, and it does kind of keep sucking you along to play.
Okay.
It is a really good game, but it's something I don't know if 30 hours in a week or two is going to be something, but it's 1 hour a week it's kind of a fun game like that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it had really high reviews.
Yeah, really high reviews, and all my friends love it. And if there's a sequel, I'd probably be day one on the sequel. Like it is a really good.
There's no multiplayer, is there?
There's no multiplayer. There's daily runs that have like high scores and stuff, but yeah, it's all single player.
Okay. What else have you been playing?
Yeah, so just today, or I guess yesterday I started, but today I took some time to seriously play. I'm about 5 hours in on Guardians of the Galaxy on Xbox Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I set the difficulty the easiest one because I read through all of these online forums and from friends that the story is really good. Some people say it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy movies as far as the script and the lines and the humor. So, you know what? I'm enjoying it. The script is actually pretty funny. The gameplay is kind of whatever. It's a pretty bland, generic what you expect. The combat is kind of okay. But again, I'm playing on easy mode. But the story so far is pretty fun and interesting. It's well voice acted. The animations are good for the characters, and there are some really funny moments of banter between the characters. Even like when you're doing a puzzle or like running through the kind of it's a very linear corridor. It kind of follow a path,
mm-hmm.
But as you're going through it, like the characters will talk to each other, and it is honestly really funny at times, just like the Guardians of the Galaxy charm for the movies. So I'm gonna keep playing it. I think I might fall off if it kind of gets stale, which it might. But so far the story is holding it up. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it. So that's what I'm playing now. And then I think after that I'll move on.
That almost sounds disappointing because I was hoping you were going to say the gameplay was like a surprise, that it was like engaging and the action and.
No, the gameplay is like maybe like a 5 or 6, and the script, the actual story and script is like an 8 or 8.5.
You just convinced me never to play it because, to be honest, I don't really like. I know people love Guardians of the Galaxy. It was not my favorite series.
I don't think this game is for you. That's totally 100%. The gameplay does not hold it up, especially to your kind of standard. The story is good, but it's not like mind-blowingly good. It's good. So again, that's why I say I might fall off of it.
Does anyone get beaten to death with the golf club?
What?
Because of Last
Oh,
of
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us 2.
Spoilers.
Well, no, I didn't say who it happens to.
Yeah, true. Oh my god,
That's my kind of story.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But yeah, again, it's a very Marvel kind of story where it's like, nothing R rated. It's very PG. But it's fun. And yeah, so after that, I plan to move on to
Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy. I did spend about 10 minutes playing that game, Tunic, because I was deciding what to play on Xbox. I tried that and Lumines, that puzzle game.
Okay.
Lumines wasn't my kind of thing. It just reminds me of Puyo Puyo or Tetris, like another one of those kind of games.
Yep.
I like the ones that I already like. And Tunic, it started off really cool. Again, I only played 10 minutes. It didn't quite grab me. It doesn't seem... The first 10 minutes, to me, should be very clear on your direction. And I felt very lost after 5 seconds. And I'm sure that's really fun. I think I'd have to give it another chance of like an hour of really playing to see if it would hook me. But I quickly just wanted kind of a simple... I wanted a really simple game after coming off of 2 huge open world games. So that's why I'm kind of playing Guardians of the Galaxy as a palate cleanser of, it's very straightforward. Don't have to think very much. Not in difficult combat. So it's good. But yeah, Tunic is... We'll see in a couple weeks what I think of it.
Nice. Okay, well, Derek, what's the next game you plan to get? Anything on the radar?
Ooh, good question. So I do have my eye, since you mentioned Kirby, about how much you loved it. I am checking Kijiji and seeing if anyone ever sells a used copy for, even like $50 or $60.
Mm-hmm.
No one yet. And, it's kind of funny. Like recently, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, that Outriders, that game that I played.
I saw
really
there's new DLC coming for it.
Yeah, big DLC. And my friend Brandon and I, we had heard about this when we were playing this game, and we were really excited. So now that there's a lot of detail about what it is, it looks freaking awesome. So I'm really excited to jump back in that game. I think it's either end of June or end of July. So that'll be really awesome. But again, I don't really know what my next game is. It'll probably be a game that's already been out for a couple of years, or it'll be Strikers. How about you?
It's hard to say because it really depends. We just found out that the Shredder Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the Shredder's Revenge comes out this summer. So I'm pretty much a day one on that.
Me too.
And also with the Cowabunga collection, people speculate it'll come before Shredder's Revenge, which it should. So I mean those were both day ones for me. So it's probably going to be a Ninja Turtles summer for me.
Is Shredder's Revenge online?
I believe it is, yeah.
Because if it is, I'm so down to play that.
Yeah, my understanding is that originally it wasn't supposed to have online, but it's now been delayed for since last year. And Cowabunga Collection has online, so people are kind of like, well, how can you not have online in this game? And also, it's the same developer as Streets of Rage 4,
which has online,
which has full online. It wasn't amazing online, but it does work. I just really hope the Switch version runs well, because this looks like a great handheld game, kind of like just play on the go. So I really hope the Switch version isn't like lower frame rate or having issues.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna get the Cowabunga collection. I gotta kind of feel it out and think about it a bit more. But yeah, Shredder's Revenge for sure. I'm day one as well.
I'm 100% gonna get the Cowabunga collection because I just need to have those games accessible forever.
But I had those games on my SNES Mini.
Do you have all of them?
Like not all of them, but I don't care about the 6 different versions of each one.
Well, the truth is they're actually not as different as you think, and a lot of people say that
they are different.
The Ninja Turtles arcade game, not the Turtles in Time.
Tournament Fighters. I know all three
not Tournament Fighters, not those. There's one called Ninja Turtles Arcade.
It's like Turtles in Time, but it's very different. I know it has different levels and everything.
So that I'm really excited to play. I've never played that one before.
I asked someone about all the differences, and what they told me between the arcade game or the Turtles in Time similar games all seem very, very similar. There's like one that has a slightly different level and boss, and some have levels cut, but it's all very similar. The ones that would compel me more to get it are actually the Tournament Fighters, just because all 3 are completely different. Not anywhere comparable to being the same. Completely different games. So that does interest me. That's kind of where I'm on the fence and why I might lean to getting it. But Shredder's Revenge for sure.
Well, it also has the NES Ninja Turtles game, which I know is like apparently it's awful. I actually played it when I was a kid, and it was impossible. But just to have access to that is like a nostalgia rush. Like to me, it's more like it's almost one of those games that I want to have, even if I barely play it. If that makes any sense, just to
Yeah, like
have
as a
forever.
like part of the collection. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I mean, I even contemplate getting a physical just to have it. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get those. It'll probably be discount price as well.
Nice.
So that's probably my next game. But
What about your
next,
next game? Like game?
I really don't know. I mean, it's probably going to be Splatoon 3, but I never know. You never know what gets announced and comes out in August, right? Maybe Bayonetta 3 will come out in August.
Maybe there'll be like a Hollow Knight Shadow Drop next month.
Yeah, maybe the war will end in Ukraine and Advance Wars will come out.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. I mean, but for the most part, it sounds like for now I'm probably going to take it easy until the fall. I have Game Pass. I got the Turtles games coming out.
Yeah, I'm the same. I got
I still have
Trial
Elden
Strategy,
Ring.
Game Pass, and honestly, if there's games I want to pick up, like there's a whole bunch of like indie games that are on the Switch that I haven't played and want to buy that are like $10-15.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I still need to beat Elden Ring, so that's going to take me another couple of years.
I mean, you probably got maybe 25-30 hours left. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, okay. Next week, Switch Sports comes out for the Switch.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was next week.
I know it's crazy. It's like they've been pretty quiet. I know reviewers have been playing it, but they're embargoed. Um, and what would it take for you to jump on this, Derek?
If it got like an 84 or higher, I would get it day one. Not only just because that's a good review, but also because it means it gave me some points on our fantasy league.
Exactly.
I'm the only person that put in 80. Everyone else in the 70s. So if it cracks like even an 82, let's say, I'd probably like get it just out of support for for helping me in the cause of beating you.
Wow, so you're that review centric in your purchase decisions.
No, I no. I'm that centric about winning our bet.
Yeah, that's why playing Kirby was so extra sweet while I played it because
Yeah.
I knew I was getting points while I was playing it. Even though it dropped a few points, I think it was at
Yeah.
84. But
I know. I haven't checked this in a while.
I don't know what will get me to get Switch Sports because it's just I'd have to hear that the online mode is really that good.
Or the new games are really fun. Like again, I have a lot of friends that actually would play that game with me. So I don't really, as much as I would want the online too, I don't care as much about the online. But the price matters, the amount of content and updates that are coming for it, and if the games are fun. Because I know they data mined some interesting games like Dodgeball, I think.
Mhm.
So it does seem like it almost might not even be a game that you would get day one, but it's a game that you might get in 6 months. You know?
Totally, it is discount price by the way. It's not full price.
Okay, nice.
It does have golf coming this year, so that does bode well for maybe other updates. I don't know. It's a tough call for me. I don't know. I mean, like I said when I played the online demo, there was just a little bit of lag and everything that felt off to me.
Hmm.
So it didn't actually feel as good as Wii Sports did originally. Um, and I'm also just more curious. Like, is this going to sell really well? Like, I can see it on one hand selling really well, but I can also see it being like a Wii Sports. What was it called? Not Wii Sports Resort, but Wii Sports Club for Wii U, which bombed. I
Oh
just,
yeah.
I can also see just kind of being a dud. Like, is this kind of game really wanted anymore? Does grandma and mom and people like that want to impulse buy a Switch for this? I don't know if the craze is still there.
It's hard to say because like you got to think, the first Wii Sports came out as packaged for the Wii. But then you look at games like Ring Fit, right? Ring Fit sold so much better than anyone would have thought it would have sold on the Switch.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't be shocked if this game, sold several million in Japan. And like it has the potential to do that. I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it will, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's like ends up being a 10 million seller.
Me neither, but I also can see
I don't think it's going to hit those, 60 million sellers like, the Wii.
I believe Wii Sports Resort, I believe, sold around 25 to 30 million, which is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't really count Wii Sports, like you said, because it came packed in.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, some people predict this will be packed in with like a white Switch, maybe this holiday. which would be
that'd be cool.
really popular. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what would be actually really smart is if they reduced the price of the Switch with this game for holidays, because they haven't really officially reduced the price ever, but they said, hey, $100 off, right, and this game with it, that would sell like insane amounts. The problem is that I don't know if they have the Switch stock to do that. But it might be, again, if we're talking, in the grand scheme of things, if we're thinking about that the Switch Pro is coming out, let's say next March.
I actually think you're right. What you're predicting right now sounds not only smart from a marketing perspective, but also smart from a predictions perspective, because I think it's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Drop the price, include this. Maybe they haven't announced the Switch Pro yet, but it's still like a big holiday.
Sell gangbusters. All the casuals buy this, keep buying it, and then the hardcore, hey, the Switch Pro, if you want to do the brand new HD games. But I think that's how they'll get the original Switch to keep selling like crazy.
I agree. Like they'll keep that lower cost.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't wonder if they're gonna. I mean, the real other question is, some people think they're gonna phase out the original Switch. So would it be like a Switch OLED comes out that's been drops the $50, and then they just keep that as their main unit from now on, and they phase out the original base launch unit, like the one that we have?
Interesting. Like kind of like how the DS Lite took over the DS.
Yeah, like maybe they'll lower the price for the base unit, and they'll have a new, lower price white unit, including Switch Sports, and then next January, February they announce, Switch Pro is coming out this April with Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, who knows? I don't think I'm gonna get it. No, I mean the score would have to be really high. I still think like I want to wait till it's like much cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'll wait till it's cheaper and there's more games on it.
Or if it just becomes like the online is really truly that good, where like
or if it sells 20
friends.
Or if it sells 20 million copies and everyone's playing it and the internet, the online's good.
Yeah, it becomes a huge craze and you can like somehow share it and like I know that they with the data mining, I think I heard that there's a lot of like in-game currency kind of things. So
okay,
you can at least like buy lots of clothes and upgrade things. So maybe they make it really cool where like you get coins and coins buy you a house and you can like have your friends in the house if you add them, and like maybe
you like bring in Metopia into the game.
Yeah, like it has some light factor of that could be really addictive, and that's the kind of thing that I hear about. Be like, oh, whoa, that's interesting. It's not just like a basic menu select of 6 sports, and you try all of them once, and then you're like, okay, let's put it away forever now.
See, I'm the opposite. I would almost prefer if it was just a basic menu select and the games were just really fun.
Man, but there should be a menu that takes you to your house where you can do all that cool gotcha kind of stuff. That's the stuff that gets me addicted, right?
I guess, yeah.
And the nice thing about this kind of game is that with the Switch, you can play 2 players out of the box super easily, and it does get you standing up, which is nice. Like when I did the demo, it was fun to kind of push the couch back, stand up, and play tennis. Yeah, there was something about that was fun.
That's true. It's been a while since I've used the Joy-Cons or the motion controls, so that would be kind of nice.
Yeah, it felt good. Like it felt different, and it was just cool. So like I don't know, maybe I'm convincing myself I should buy it. But next time we talk, at least it'll be out.
So, yeah, we can talk about the scores and how it's selling.
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about there, Derek?
That would be it for me. How about you?
Actually, I wanted to talk about this whole trilogy. No, I'm just kidding.
Good joke, Pete.
That joke crashed.
Our listeners are really happy with that one.
Hey, if they're here to the end right now, then we've done well. To our listeners, thanks for sitting with us for another podcast. Please leave us a comment or let us know you're out there. Ask a question, whatever. Yeah, Derek, I guess that's Nintendo Bros signing out.
Yeah, that's a wrap. This is Derek. See you later.
This is Peter signing out.